To join the team at Wellborn Cabinet Incorporated in Ashland. Wellborn Cabinet is looking for professional, over-the-road drivers to deliver their high-quality cabinets around the United States. Wellborn offers a sign-on bonus, Blue Cross Blue Shield medical, vision, and dental insurance, 401k, and you'll be driving the latest up-to-date equipment. If you want to join a winning team of drivers, you can apply online at wellborncabinet.com or at the Human Resources Office on Highway 77 South in Ashland. We take pride in our drivers like we take pride in our quality cabinets.
Southern Fried Books, 29 Jackson Street, Newton, downtown Newton's only independent bookstore. And they offer a wide selection of bestsellers, award-winning books with adult, children's, and special interest titles to suit your fancy. Many of Hometown Novel Night authors have their books available in Southern Fried Books' local author section. Hometown Novel Nights, bringing local authors and local audience together south of Atlanta. In fact, next Thursday evening, September 19th at 7 p.m., the next edition of Hometown Novel Nights with 4 awesome authors will take place at Rogers Barbecue, exit 28 off of I-85, Hogansville, Georgia. But let's not get ahead of ourselves this morning. We will share more details in just a few moments. But first, his friends and family know him as Mike. However, he also goes by T.M. Brown, an award-winning local Southern author who proudly calls Coweta County his home.
Thank you, Ryan, and I'm so glad to be back again. And thank you to all the listeners of WQEE out there, the Rock the Key station, bringing the best of what's available in Coweta County and the downtown Newnan area. Just wanted to kind of give an update this morning on Hometown Novel Night. Some of y'all are still new and fresh to what that is, but it is bringing local authors to the local audience here in Coweta County and in Troup County and Meriwether County and the surrounding area to kind of know that, you know, this is a cradle of a lot of creative minds and talents here in this area. You know, a lot of people, you know, look at Louis Guizard and Erskine Caldwell as the influences in this area, and they certainly are. But we also have a lot of current talent that is coming, being a part of what is Hometown Novel Nights. And these are people who at different stages of their writing career have grown to publish their books, whether it is novels or memoirs or sharing articles that they've written in the local newspaper and poetry. We allow them all to share with it, and they come in all ages, all sizes, you know, all backgrounds. We have these panels of 3 authors each month, sometimes 4, depending on the venue and setting. But they allow themselves to talk a little bit about themselves, their background, what got them to where they are today to be able to publish a book that people are reading and being drawn to. And then they talk a little bit about their books. And then we have an interactive time between the audience and the authors. It's a time to get to know who wrote the book. So many people walk into a library or a bookstore and they pull a book from the shelf, and they might see the author name, but they know it by reputation only. They really don't know that author, but they just know the reputation, and then they'll open up the book and start to read. But I think once you get to know the author, you'll understand a little bit better what is between the front and the back cover of those books. And that's what Hometown Novel Nights is attempting to do. We started in a humble abode with, as been already hinted, that I have my special guest today, Miss Toni Stribling from Rogers Barbecue. Her and her husband had opened their doors to us, and we began a year ago, next month, bringing our first panel of authors to their banquet room. And we've been having a growing audience there. We've subsequently, as of earlier this summer, began also alternating venues here with the Carnegie Library right here in downtown Newnan. And this has been a great addition to what Hometown Novel Nights has been able to do. And I'm just enjoy being a part of it. I have a great team behind me. This is not the T.M. Brown show. This is really Hometown Novel Nights. It is introducing the authors each and every month. Miss Angie Gallion is a great partner in what I'm doing. Other people like Scott Ludwig, a lot of y'all know from the Newnan Times-Herald, has been a great help in what we're doing. Southern Fried Books has stepped up and becoming a sponsor of what we do at Hometown Novel Nights. And that has been a great addition and encouragement to what we do, because we are truly nonprofit. We don't make any money, We just spend money bringing authors to one another, and we enjoy breaking bread with one another. So that's a little bit about Hometown Novel Nights if you haven't heard. And I would hope and encourage that whether you go to the Hogansville venue, which will be next Thursday night on the 19th at 7 o'clock, it'll last until just about 9 o'clock, or they kick us out typically. And you get to meet 4 great authors in this coming next Thursday. Or next month in October, which will be the second Tuesday in October, we've got a great 3-panel author coming to the Carnegie Library. And I have a very good close friend of mine from Atlanta who will be here as a guest author who will be presenting his books that have been nationally released, and Mr. Roger Johnson. I'll talk more about him next month. I don't want to jump the gun here. But, we do have the alternating venues, and this is not going to stop this year. We're already putting our calendar together for 2020. That actually is almost scary for this old man. And I'm glad that I have a team of supporters behind me that's helping and coordinating all of this. I also want to give a shout out to a new relationship that we have, partnership with the Artisans Heritage Guild. And if you haven't heard about them, I suggest that you do. This is an organization which we're teaming up with. They're going to be putting on a bazaar in October 26th. It'll be held right in Greenville Park, First Avenue Park, I guess they call it officially. And it's going to be an opportunity to see blacksmiths and leathersmiths and a lot of the crafts that were at Maker's Day, but they're going to be doing something very special. I just don't want to let it all out of the bag, but it has something to do with pumpkins and going skyborne. And you'll see and hear more about that coming up in a very couple of more weeks. And I'll let Michael Seebacher, the head of Artisans Heritage Guild, talk about that and promote that a lot better. Just a kind of a quick step back also, just to mention, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that came to the Carnegie Library back on August 8th. Toby Nix, what a funny guy. And now I know why his articles are so, everybody enjoys reading his weekly articles. Between him and Scott Ludwig, it gets people to want to get the local Noonan Times-Herald and open it up every week. Paul Sinor, coming from Barnesville. And you wonder, well, who's Paul Sinor? Paul Sinor, we come to find out, is a movie producer, movie advisor, and he's also a published author, and he's also teaches writing. And we're going to be seeing more of Paul Sinor in the coming months as possibly some writing workshops for young and prospective writers to be able to understand what does it take to get published today. So I'm looking forward to coordinating with Paul Sinor and doing something about that as well. And then obviously I had my best friend Angie Gallion was there with her books. And she is not only a great supporter and partner in what we do at Hometown Novel Nights, she is a very accomplished author in her own right with her own series of books, which I highly recommend to you. I would also say that we had our largest audience ever with Hometown Novel Nights at the Carnegie last month. It was amazing. I saw Sue Crutchfield, who was our guest speaker last month, smiling with her new events coordinator when we had to keep putting out more chairs. That was awesome. And Southern Fried Books was there selling books. They were smiling because y'all did what you're supposed to do, which is fall in love with these authors, then go grab their books and walk out of there. I know Toby Nix ran out of books that he brought, so I think that's a tribute to what's happening with Hometown Novel Nights. So I do want to say that. Another quick note before I introduce Tony is just to mention that I was just at the Decatur Book Festival over the Labor Day weekend. I wish I'd have been here because I know there was a lot of good things happening right here in Noonan on Labor Day with the Labor Day Festival here. But I got pulled in to be involved with a book signing and also as a moderator of a couple of panels at the Decatur Book Festival. But I want to bring up 3 authors that have Georgia roots that are beyond our scope, and hopefully we'll get them here in the near future at one of our events. Number 1 is Brian Panowitz. Brian Panowitz is probably one of the young fiction writers today that has deep roots in North Georgia. He's written 2 great books that have gone national. Bull Mountain is one, and his most recent one just released this spring is Like Lions. I highly, highly recommend it. And it talks about the culture that exists in North Georgia. It's got the small town sheriff fighting the corruption and crime that goes on up there in the mountains, and how that and he really plays into that very well. The other ones that I would say is Jessica Handler. I did not know Jessica until about 4 months ago, but Jessica just released her book, The Magnetic Girl. It is the hot one right now in the state of Georgia. She is rivaling Jocelyn Jackson's Never Have I Ever book that just came out as well. Those are three author names with Brian that I would highly recommend that came out of that Decatur Book Festival that I really enjoyed being a part of. And if you ever get a chance to be at the Decatur Book Festival, it's a great place to go. And I really, give Darren Wang, the festival coordinator, and his staff kudos for what they put on every year, and with the support of the Atlanta Writers Club, where they support authors doing their book signings for little guys like me to get to be able to stand in front of the crowd and sign a few books along the way, and I really appreciate that. So, again, it's already been alluded to. There's the Noonan Fall Art Walk. I just want to do a quick plug for Southern Fried Books. They're going to be open for that, and yours truly will be there. I don't tout my own self very often, but there's some great news that's happening on my book fronts. I actually have my book 3 under contract to be released in the spring of 2020. So if you have not had an opportunity to get your copy of Sanctuary of Testament, the first 2 books, I hope that you will. Come on out, and I'll give you a little bit of a hint what book 3 holds, and I'll let this much out. My publisher has asked me to already be thinking about book 4, and that's already being worked on. So I would look forward to seeing y'all at the Southern Fried Books at the Noonan Fall Art Walk on the 20th, on Friday from 5 to 9. So with that, what I would like to say is a week from this Thursday, on the 19th, we're going to have the wonderful time of being hosted by Miss Toni Stribling and her husband Randy at the Rogers Barbecue. So easy to get to. If you haven't been there, you're missing out on just the food alone. But to come out there on a Thursday night, you get to not only eat while you're listening to all the authors. Their waitresses are fantastic. They sneak in and sneak out of that banquet room. We hardly know they're there. They keep funneling in the iced tea, throughout the entire, 2-hour time that we're there. And I just can't speak enough about their generosity and the Stribling's generosity for us. So, and we've got a great 4-author group that will be there talking about their books. And Melba Moon from LaGrange, Ann Rhodes from Hogansville, Shelley Woodham Phillips from Moreland, and then we also have Miss Mary Marvella coming all the way from Atlanta. So we've got 4. If you like romance, if you like poetry, if you just like great comical reading, fun reading, you're going to enjoy this panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Toni Stribling, who has been one of the biggest supporters of what we're doing in Hometown Novel Night. Good morning, Toni.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. And, there's a lot of things about Miss Toni that I'm going to talk to her about and give her an opportunity, because I know she has no shortage of words now that I've gotten my share out of the way. But her husband, Randy, how long have y'all owned Rogers Barbecue?
16 years.
16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the journey it is to open up that restaurant and see it develop.
Well, what is interesting is I grew up on Rogers Barbecue in West Point, Georgia. I knew Mr. and Mrs. Rogers. All of our family grew up on that food. It's just a tradition. It's a Southern tradition. So when Randy's brother bought it back in 1985, he grew it from West Point to LaGrange, then to Hogansville. He sold off each individual into different families, so we bought the one in Hogansville in 2003, and we've run it for 16 years. We did have a devastating fire a couple of years ago.
Remember that well, yeah.
And, we had a turning point in our lives. We could have chosen to get out of the business, move anywhere else in the world we wanted to go, get back into the corporate environment, get back into real estate, whatever we wanted to do. We rode all over Georgia, Alabama, to see what we might want to do, where we might want to live, if we want to open somewhere else. But we went right back to Hogansville, our hometown. It's where my kids grew up. We actually grew up in Alabama. We're not too far from our home roots, but Hogansville is our home now, and we love it, and we decided to stay right where we were and rebuild.
That's fantastic. That's kind of like with my wife and I. I mean, we can now call Noonan and the Granville area our home. Although we are not original natives of the area, we've come up here. You just fall in love with it.
Yes.
I was joking with Tony where I live in Grantville, right off of the exit. I'm one exit from Hogansville and one exit from coming on the south side of Noonan. So sometimes it's easier to go to Hogansville, and that's how I actually, kind of got connected. I've seen a lot of change in Hogansville in the last couple of years, 2-3 years since I've been involved with it there. Tell us a little about what's going on, because I also know that Miss Tony Stribling, she's not going to brag a lot about it, but I'm going to give her a little plug. She's running for city council in Hogansville. So if you're in the Hogansville area and you're listening to this possibly live on the internet, or you're going to catch the podcast later, I'm going to give her a minute or so just to talk about that and what the great renaissance is happening in Hogansville downtown.
Yes. Well, it's not just been a couple years. Over the 16 years we've been there, Irene and I initially got involved in the Hogansville Regional Arts Association. I started it as a 501c3 back in 2003 to bring the arts and entertainment into downtown Hogansville. So we've been working on this for 16 years. A lot of the previous council members, mayors, a lot of our community workers helped get the streetscapes done. We set the foundation. We put in parking lots. Our developers, put a lot of money into the buildings downtown to have them ready for this place in time in Hogansville. And what happened a couple of years ago, we had some young families come into town, moved back into town. They're from Hogansville originally, the Pioneer Group. And Dr. Morgan and his wife have invested in a lot of buildings downtown and putting makers' businesses in the downtown, artisans, painters, all kinds of craftsmen, movie makers, metal workers, all that kind of stuff. And they are collaborating with each other to grow the arts in Hogansville. So, and of course we have a lovely bookstore downtown, the Blue Train Books, and that's where I met you. So I am running for council. I just feel like we need to come into the 21st century. We need to upgrade our infrastructure. We need to do some stuff with our website. We need to have destination events downtown to bring in tourism to downtown. We just need to take better care of our town, make sure all of our people are happy with their utilities. So that's why I want to be a council person, and I'm running. So y'all vote for me, okay?
Yeah, being as this is being broadcast mainly right here in Coweta County, but a lot of y'all have got cousins and aunts and uncles and friends down there in Hogansville. So maybe make that phone call for Tony if you would. That'll be my one political plug for you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I know my friends are listening because I told them to listen, so I know some of my voters are listening.
Going back to our first meeting, I had reservations at the beginning when I first entertained going to the Hummingbird Festival, but I heard it was really something special.
It is awesome.
My wife and I decided we got in touch with, Gail and Dan at Blue Train Books, and they said, great, come on in and, do your thing. And we had fun there. But recalling that, and I promise I'm going to post the video because I still have it, of this impromptu meeting between Miss Tony Stribling, who I did not know at that point, when she popped in on me, and she just said, "Smile, you're on Candid Camera."
I do that to a lot of people. I pop in and do my live feeds.
And she did the live feed on Facebook, and I thought that was really special. But I just remember that happening. And I think Mike Moon was there at the same time.
Yes.
And that's when I met Mike Moon, who is
our local historian.
Local historian, if you want to know anything about this area, and not just Troup County or Hogansville, but he goes all over. Mike Moon is the man. And he's one of our hometown novel night authors because he has so many books of history.
Yes.
It's just amazing. He's a very talented man, and I appreciate his friendship. But speak to me a little bit. I mean, here's this author doing stupid stuff at Blue Train Books, okay, which, by the way, is a great place if you want used books. That is a place that's just absolute. They take meticulous care to put their books out. And, to be there as the new book author, talking about his books to the audience that was coming through Hometown Home, and then you showed up. What spurred you to do that?
Well, I want to promote Blue Train Books. I like to promote things going on in downtown Hogansville. Definitely the Hummingbird Festival. We're in the top 10 in the state's, arts and crafts festivals. And just giving attention to anybody that's getting out there and doing their thing, man. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go from the idea of being an author to actually being one. And you stepped across that line in faith. You worked hard. You're one of the hardest working authors I've ever met. I see you going on all these book trails to all these different bookstores, all these different states to learn more and to promote your craft. And I was just impressed with that. And I have other friends that are local authors, too, that I love, and I like to promote them. So when I saw what you was doing, I just felt like, hey, this is the man. I need to get him out there, and I need to promote him and Blue Train Books.
Well, I really do appreciate it because, as an author today, there's so much competition. There's a sea of books constantly being washed out, into the more sea of the books. And you really have to, you just can't write a book anymore and expect it to sell.
Absolutely.
You have to make some noise. And I was just talking to a couple of book friends of mine over the last couple of weeks about that exact subject. And I've done some stuff called Authorpreneurship that talks about that. And maybe that'll be a subject we'll talk about someday at a workshop there in Hogansville.
I hope so.
So there is some things there. But I'd like to encourage going to different venues. And you learn everywhere you go. The other thing that I always say, and I think you've recognized this in our many conversations since that 2 years ago, that you can't look at this as a money-making proposition.
Oh, no. There's got to be a passion.
There's a very small percentage that actually make money selling books anymore, writing books. And those are the ones that most everybody knows their names, the John Grishams and James Pattersons and et cetera, et cetera. But, the passion is having fun talking with people and getting to meet people and traveling. And that's what my wife and I are enjoying doing. And thankfully, we sell enough books that we kind of wash that out. So it's kind of a win-win scenario for us.
Well, y'all are the dynamic duo. You couldn't do it without Connie. She is your best helpmate and just gets in there in the trenches with you and supports you all the way. And I just am impressed by that. And y'all's care for each other. That's wonderful.
Thank you. 46 years of learning to do that.
Yes.
And we actually do. We really do appreciate and love the relationship that we have. And if I have to do an event without her, I feel lost.
I'm sure.
I had to do it this past weekend at Postman Books in Atlanta because she had obligations that she couldn't be there. So let me ask you a question because, again, you are, everybody knows you from the barbecue and all that stuff. What is your favorite books, your favorite authors?
Okay. Well, I love local authors. And this is an author from Douglasville, Georgia. And the book is called The Boys of Enon Road. And it's the summer of 1968, and I forgot to write his name down. Sorry, I'll get that later. But it was about his adventures of childhood. I met him through my best friends that live in Douglasville, and that's some of their friends. And I could relate because you could hear all of his stories when he was a child, riding his bike down this really high hill and hitting a ditch and all the kind of stuff that happens with that. And a lot of adventures, a little spooky stuff in there, and a lot of laughing and some crying. So that was really good. My utmost for his highest, Oswald Chambers' Daily Devotion. It's just timeless. I mean, it was he was from the 1800s going into the early 1900s, but it's still true today. All of his little sermons that were put in there, it just touches my heart and keeps me inspired and hopeful. Also, Daring Greatly, Brene Brown. Brene Brown's one of my favorite authors, and she has a Ph.D. She's a licensed master social worker. But what I'm impressed with her about is she's done a lot of different studies on how to be real and raw in your life, how to be vulnerable, and it's okay. People put up too much defenses these days. They just don't talk to each other. They're not honest. If they fail, they have a hard time getting back up. But she talks about how it's okay to fall down, get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going, and try again. Ask for forgiveness, ask for help, tell people no, tell people later, or tell people I can't. Or I can. It's okay to be honest. And that's something I have had to learn, that I can't always say yes to everybody. I need to say no sometimes, and it's okay to do that. So she's about being raw and truthful, and I've learned a lot from her, and I use her work. Another one is a local author. It's Be Happy This Year by B.A. Dillon, and she is a guest writer for 85 Out and About, which is up and down the interstate here, Patrick Terine, his wife Jackie's magazine. And I was reading an article that she had written in there, 85 Out and About. I loved it. And Jackie's a friend of mine, and I had posted on their site that how much I enjoyed that article, and Jackie came over to my house one day and brought me her book, and I have read it from cover to cover. And again, it reminds me when you get down in the drudges and you're just doing day to day, be happy. Just find something, get outside, smell the flowers, something. Don't just stay inside and be miserable. Another one is Eat to Live by Joel Furman. He's a medical doctor. And I lived by this book for a while. It's like it's a health equals nutrients and calories, and it tells the truth about eating and your food. And I don't live by it now, but if I ever want to get back into healthy living, I'll be going through his book again. And the most influential book is the Bible. I've read it over several times. I depend on it. It's my life force. It's set my morals and my character. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. And it's
And
my
I'm glad
spiritual
it's not
guide.
going out of print.
It's not. It's never going to go out of print. So it's the key to salvation, and it's a hope for eternity. And so that's my most important
Well,
book.
Tony, I am so pleased that you came to be a part of what we're doing here this month. Look forward to seeing you a week from Thursday. Folks, if you want to know more, if you're on Facebook, you can go to WGA Hometown Novel Nights. That'll get you to our page there. Or you can go to my page, which is @TM Brown Author. That'll get you there as well. Or you can also go to the tab, Hometown Novel Night tab at my author webpage, which is tmbrownauthour.com, where I've got a lot of timely things that are on there as well. So I hope you will tune in next month. We'll be got another special guest coming that I think will equally not. It's going to be hard to live up to having an interview.
Sure.
But I am so pleased that you're here, and thank you, Ryan, once again.
Thank you.
For those who would like to find out more about the future schedule of Hometown Novel Night events, visit Hometown Novel Nights on Facebook or visit Mike's author page at tmbrownauthour.com. And there is a page dedicated to Hometown Novel Nights there as well. You can also visit at Southern Fried Books on Facebook, or better yet, stop in and visit their store at 29 Jackson Street in downtown Noonan. This has been the Hometown Novel Nights radio show, hosted by T.M. Brown. See you next time. Premier Roof in Peachtree City is Metro Atlanta's residential and commercial roofing specialist. Free estimate. Premier Roofing works to make sure insurance companies pay for your new roof. Contact Kyle at 770-298-4741. Premier Roofing.
Join us every Saturday night at 6 on WQEE for Freudian Slip, an hour of Pink Floyd.
Burning gladly, the cloud of eider down draws around me, softening the sound.
I'm Craig Bailey, your host for an hour from the dark side of the moon. His Freudian Slope, an hour of Pink Floyd, Saturday nights at 6 right here on WQEE.